Good morning, all. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Right, so today we're going to be checking out some Deno. Secure runtime for JavaScript and TypeScript. This is basically, in my view, going to replace me using Node.js. I already didn't use Node.js much as it was. Primarily, the thing that I'm very interested in here, there's two things really, but the single executable file. Problem, not really a problem, but what I've noticed in the past is with Node.js, you have to have the environment configured just right on any box that you want to run your application on. This just kind of removes that necessity. It pushes it into the binary, which I'm guessing will be a bigger binary size because of that. The other thing that's interesting to me is that we're supporting TypeScript out of the box, which is pretty cool. So there's no transpilation that needs to happen, at least as far as I understand it, which is pretty great. So we'll look into that, and we'll look in through all the other bullet points in this list. But basically, this is what we're going to start with now. I've done a little bit of cheating here, and I've set myself up already with the repository, and I already have Deno installed here. So if we just run Deno, we can see we're on 1.0.0, and it drops us right into a REPL, which is a read, evaluate, and print loop. So I can do things like, maybe this will work. There you go. So we can see test, and we can define any objects that we want within this REPL. Just Control D to get out of there, and we're ready to go. I wonder if there are options like version and so on. Yeah, so if I do like -- help, I would assume, yeah, I get a whole help list. That is one thing about Deno that isn't probably mentioned. There is no centralized package manager like npm is to Node. Instead, you go to URLs specifically and grab the projects that way, and you can prefix the version in the URL, I believe, to lock in your versions. Right. So let's mess with this. Let's create a project here, and I'm gonna, for the sake of simplicity here, use some VS Codium at a high level. I'll go ahead and create a folder, and we're just gonna call this, let's mess with, we'll do a hello world. We'll just call the folder hello. And I'm not sure naming conventions just yet. First thing that I'm going to want to do is maybe look through the manual. Just take a look at the style guide. Use underscores, not dashes, in file names. Okay. Each module should contain or be accompanied by tests. Sure. Leave your to-dos. Meta proxying is discouraged, including the use of a proxy. Okay. So be explicit even when it means more code. There are some situations where it may make sense to use such techniques. Okay. And then Rust conventions for coding. Oh, this is for contributing, though. This is like if you're actually building this thing. Okay, do not use file name index.ts or index.js. Does not treat index in a special way by using these file names. It suggests that you that they can be left out of the module specifier when they cannot. Okay. Okay, so if the directory of code needs a default entry point, use the file name mod.ts. Okay, so there you go. They do have an opinion on it. So let's go ahead and follow that. So we'll create a new file inside of here. Call it mod.ts. And I suppose at this point we can decide what we want to work on. So I want to look through the standard library potentially. So let's open up Deno land, maybe it's std. Sure is. Text proto testing, and then Websockets. might mess with some WebSockets. So it looks like they've got a server implementation and the client implementation. So we could quickly get this up and working. So let's do that. Let's try that out. So we'll rename this to, we'll call it server.ts, and we'll create a new client.ts as well to go along with it. And I suppose we'll just take the contents and see if an old copy paste gets us what we need here. So there's the server. Here's the client. All right. So let's go into hello. And then we're going to need 2 of these. Hopefully this doesn't create an issue again. Let's find out. No, we're good. All right. So home, get into Deno. All right. So we'll have server on the left here. So Deno run server. Okay. So let's see what happened there. So this is another part that it's up for debate if this is going to be useful or not. But basically, I have not allowed it to have network permissions, the Deno runtime itself. So in order to do that, I need to pass a flag to the run command called allow net. And then I've got my WebSocket server running. And then over here, we can Deno run client. I assume I'll get the same error. Yeah. Permission denied network access. So run allow net. There we go. All right, so that was simple. On the left here, let's give we can see whatever we type just gets ported right into that WebSocket server. Theoretically, you can have multiple clients connected and communicating over those WebSockets. So what could we use this for? Let's look at the Twitch API real quick. Okay, let's check out this working example. It's all in an index.html. Once I have my access token, which I've got, what do we do with it? Your access key from the URL, yeah. Bearer, authorization bearer. And I would just need to create a secrets folder. I wonder what's the best way to handle secrets? Secrets. Is there like a .env? Deno secrets.env. Okay, set a .env at the root of your project. So this is, I'm going to need to pull this in somehow. Let's see if they tell me. Yeah, exactly. Just like this. Then import the configuration. And it should just load. So let's get that working. Okay, so env. What happened there? Weird. All right, so now we get our client ID. Let's pull that in. Oh, we don't want that URL. We want the URL I was using. Okay. And then we're gonna console log some stuff. There we go. Alright, so now we have the proper response back formatted. You can see the usernames. Go drop in on any of these. We can't see how many people they have. Oh, viewer count. Yeah, we can. What? Crazy amount of viewers. We could parse just for ones that are in the English language. And we've got a pagination cursor, which is great. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. So what else can we do with this now that we've got this thing hooked up? This is good. Good job. Let's see. What is this one? This is good. Good job. Don't need this. What is this? Get rid of these for now. So in the, so what was this one? All right. So we're in here. We had our sample code. We executed it, got our results, and now we look at the guide and the reference. I'm really interested in parsing like chats. I guess I do need a bot for that. So let's go look at that. Chat bots. It's funny, they don't just have like bots that you can associate with your user. That's unfortunate. Well, let's try. Okay. All right. Perfect. I don't want to choose interests. I'm a bot. Oh my gosh. A bot likes to chat. It likes... Oh man, I don't care. Done. Dark theme, please. Dark theme. Thank you. Alright, so now we have that. So let me modify those environmental variables. I want to do it locally. And I'm going to try to do, instead of TMI JS, I'm going to find that URL. Maybe? Let's look at issues. Has anybody mentioned Deno? We are forging a new path. That is great. I mean, I think that a project is staring us right in the face. Is creating a Twitch API for Deno. Just a little wrapper. So what makes TMI so special? Connect and interact with Twitch chat from Node.js. Okay, so create a project. Twitch. Deno Twitch. There we go. So we'll probably use the fetch API and just create like a wrapper around it, and maybe we'll have some parity with TMI. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a README. Goal is to provide a simple API to work to integrate simple live module with the Twitch API. To-do. Oops. Okay. And these for him all link to the action down below. These are all the things that we basically have to implement, and part of implementing any of this is going to be getting this client object. I mean, I think I'm going to take some liberties from TMI. Maybe this can eventually become a fork or an implementation for Deno under the TMI name, but for the time being, see how this is structured. So we've got our index. Index loads the client twice with this lowercase and uppercase. We're not going to do that. We're just going to have one client. Holy long file. All right. Let's go ahead. And move this out. And we'll move this over to here. All right. Now, what's the structure for a Deno project? So if we do deno.env, do we use that lib folder? They're not. What's that? Let's go. Deno awesome. Let's call it modules. We can check out that one. Gonna check out. Okay, something like this. It's a little bigger. So All of this is in one directory. This has source. I think I'm going to do the source folder thing. I'll keep that open, oops, as an example. So in mod TS, we just export out of source. Okay, so let's do that. All right. So what does their source look like? So for application import, we export our class application. So that would be like export class client. And they have a generic here. And he's using prototype, and I'm going to be using classes to get to my prototype. Alright, so are we using underscore? Who knows? Let's get a sense of what this thing is doing. Ops. Where are my ops? Oh, here. Underscore dot get. There we go. Gets value path of object. look up some handbooks here. Okay. Oh, constructor method accessor property cannot find name constructor. Okay. Okay, got it. This dot ops dot channels is going to be equal to this dot ops. Well, I need like a null. What do they call those? Null coalescence. Null coalescence. Optional chaining. Okay. Get the first element of array if we have an array, otherwise return undefined. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to use the default value. For example, the following code snippet tries to fetch the volume that was last saved in local storage. Okay, here we go. Nullish coalescing. Operator is another upcoming ECMAScript feature that goes hand in hand with optional chaining, in which our team has been involved. Okay, you can think of the feature be like fallback. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Perfect. So I can't just do this though. I have to say this ops channel is equal to this ops.channels or null, right? Which is pretty much what we're doing here. Okay, so ops, basically I need an interface here. And channels should be an array of what string? How does it go? Is it string array? Okay. Okay, so we bring in ops as ops. The ops has no initializer. This dot ops is equal to object. What's the problem with that? But it's required. How do I make it not required? Or no. So yeah, I guess that's the question. Should it be undefined or null? I'm gonna go with null. Could I just say like empty? Call it good. Yeah. Perfect. Perfection. All right. Do we want to start writing tests right away for this thing? How do we test in Deno? That's a great question. Deno testing. Go. Maybe it's in the... Oh dear Lord. Only for this. Filter plus, please. Static? Come on. What gives? Ah. Oh, man. Ah. What did I do? What did I do? So support Denoland. Only for Denoland. Filter plus. Or static? Static looks dope. Okay. We'll do static. And then I have to fix this now. Preferences. No. Customize. Theme dark, please. For the love of God, please dark. Okay. Much better. Oh, let's see. What is this for? Type doc. I don't want the type doc. I just want to know your view on how I should be testing. Okay, that looks ugly. It's better. Do you know implementation of expect in order to write tests in a more jest-like style? Let's check that out. And then manual. Anything about testing? Yes. Built-in test runner that you can use for testing JavaScript or TypeScript code. Right. To define a test, you need to call Deno.test with the name and function to be tested. Okay. Okay. Test asynchronous code by passing a test function that returns a promise. For this, you can use async keyword. Async it up, await it up. Okay. Where should you... Alright, let's see what they did here. Okay, so basically they have a .test.ts for testing. I'm gonna skip this song. Skipping it. Seems to be the only test that we have. As an example on that one at least. So, what might have some testings? Hopefully flags. So they do underscore test. Dash test, bool test. Yep. Okay. So underscores it is. That's what they're using in the standard library. That's what I'm going to use. So then we would need a new file, client test.ts. And how do we want to test? So we want, we'll just say initialize client. expects one argument. I guess we'll just pass in an empty guy. Cannot find name. Oh. Okay. Assert equals. Right? Actual expected. Okay, and then it's Deno test. How do I do this? Oh, you know what? I know what I can do. Client dot ops dot client dot ops to be channels, right? Yeah. And then if we pass in with channels, slice one, slice, or no, two, and this would be 1, 2. Okay, so that didn't work. Ops is blank. Oh, it should be ops or that. There we go. So we'll say with channels, and then just with one channel. Go. Awesome. Let's look at some code coverage. You know, code coverage reports. Let's go to Google. First class test coverage. Or not first class test coverage. No, they're not. How do we... Okay, close this. Testing package doesn't offer any form of coverage. Closing in favor of this. That's what I was just on. Doesn't seem to be stipulated. Not documented. I'm gonna leave it for now. It's fine. Maybe Deno test help. Oh, cert config. Failed fast filter. Inspect. Active inspect. Clock right. Log level no. Remote quiet. Reload. Seed unstable. No. Nothing about coverage. It's alright. Fact is, we have tests going right now for our client. So now we can compare and we can sort of build this out slowly, I suppose. So let's get our interface right here. Connection is optional, and that would be an object, which is going to be an interface. Have to figure out what all connection can be. For now, we'll just do object. Same for identity and options. And then we're going to have a client ID. Probably a string. Okay, so options. And have a client ID that will be a string. This dot client ID is going to be equal to this dot ops dot options dot client ID or null. What's the issue here? Options is not that. Options is options. that work? String or null. And I think I can just do that. Nope. Why would it be undefined? Let me just do that. Okay. Identity options, client ID, and that's it for ops, right? We reach into the ops. Oh, connection has this stuff. I feel like I might change this API a bit, but I really want to maintain compatibility with TMI for the time being. So it is what it is. Let's do it. So we want connection max reconnect attempts. It's going to be an int. What's the problem? Sure. Ah, man. Number. Right, JavaScript. So that'll be a number. Then we want max reconnect interval. It's a number. Reconnect. That's a boolean. Reconnect. Okay. It's a number. Float. All numbers are floating in JavaScript, right? Okay, and interval. Okay. that'll have to get tested for sure. Okay. Alright, let's get this reconnect in here. And then that should be right below this dot reconnect. Below this dot ops dot connection dot reconnect. Or false. Okay. Oh boy, there's all sorts of permutations of this that I'm gonna have to test. So what are we testing right now? Channels. Let's test max reconnect attempts. Max reconnection attempts. Blank. It's annoying that it's there. Okay. So we'll do a new client. Okay, so what should happen? We care that client.max reconnection attempts is infinity. Assert equals client.max reconnection attempts infinity. Deno test. Oh boy. Actual, because now we've got our client ID coming in as null. Okay, that's fine. Options, client ID. There you go. Specified. So that would be ops connection connection max connection attempts. All right, so we now are properly testing the max connection attempts. We might as well do the interval and the reconnect as well. Okay, those work. And last, I suppose we should do our client ID. What is that? Options. That client ID. Options client ID. Okay. We will have this say initialize with client ID, and this one will be without. Okay. So that's all written and tested. So I'm going to go ahead and init this. Git add. We'll add one at a time. Git status. Okay, I guess we git add. Is there anything we don't want? Not currently. Commit. So we're gonna say start or implemented basic client class with tests. Okay. Perfect. All right, and then I will get that pushed up to my GitHub, and that will be available. And I think that is, for now, where we're going to end this. So basically, from this, we've gotten a new project that we're going to start working on, which is to mimic the TMI API. I'll try to get in touch with Elka and see if he's interested in a Deno implementation, make sure I'm not wasting my efforts here. But we'll probably be continuing to work on this on the streams from here on out for a while, at least as it pertains to Deno. So with that being said, hope everybody has a fantastic evening, and I'll see you next time.